some announcements, right? Is that
Yeah.
what we're doing? So
Yes.
Harvey, you want to throw it to you or throw it to Maurizio or?
Maurizio, why don't you do this one? You're new to us. We'll give you a new tab. Why don't you make the big announcement?
Well, I mean, you did all the work. I don't feel good
No.
about.
You start, and I'll add. How's that?
Well, okay, so he's going to fill in all the important details, but
No.
the big thing is we're getting back together physically.
Woo!
Yeah. So with that, Harvey, you did all the work. You got all the details. You probably got to go.
Well, you know what? I only let Maurizio say that because for those of you new on the call, Maurizio's joined us on the executive. So thanks, Maurizio, for your time. So he's new, joining all of us on the executive. So Robert can't make the call, but he's joined David, he's joined Eric, myself. Sandy seldom comes on these for technical reasons, but he's remains on the executive. And Dave Forrest, I don't think I missed anybody, but those are the executive. And we, just so you guys are new, we don't have elections because we're all volunteers. So we just kind of keep going until one of us is tired. Yes, so getting on that, there's an executive for 2023. It hasn't changed except Maurizio joining us. And yes, we are meeting face to face at the Toronto Public Library branch, just outside of Fairview Mall, right? It's outside of the parking lot of Fairview Mall. For those of you who don't know Fairview Mall, big mall in Toronto, at the intersection of what is it, Shepherd and more or less 401, 404 area. Lots of parking, lots of food court. Now we can only get 6 to 8 p.m. because they close at 8 p.m. I tried to get 7 to 9, but we just can't get it. If we do go over 8 o'clock, they charge us a humongous amount of money for their overtime staff. So we're locked in at 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. And it's going to be on the 3rd floor. We'll send out an email so you have all the details. We are not doing away with the Zoom calls. So we're going to continue the Zoom calls. I think we agree, correct me guys if I'm wrong, the second Tuesday of the month. So the first Monday is the face-to-face IPMS like we normally do, right? Unless it's a stat holiday and then it's the second Monday. And then we're going to resume these Zoom calls because we think they're great. And we're going to continue those on Tuesday of the second week. We'll send something around. So we're not getting rid of these because we know a lot of you guys can't make it. So that's the big news. We'll send out a whole bunch of information on it. Did I miss anything, guys? I don't think so. We're going to be doing memberships. Get that out of the way because we need to send them to the local hobby stores because some of them are using the membership list now to verify the discount cards, Wheels and Wings being one of them. So that's the reason why we want to get the memberships out of the way in the first meeting. Otherwise, we really don't have an agenda. I think we're going to talk to the guys and see if we can get some guest speakers in and the likes. But finally, we're back into meeting in person in a great room, might I say. It's a fantastic room at the Toronto Public Library. But we will continue these Zoom calls. Right?
What's the date?
So,
what's the first?
Obviously, it's not this month. February,
March.
Yeah,
so first Monday of February.
Yeah, so that is
February 6th.
February 6th, yeah. 6
Awesome.
p.m. till 8 p.m. Same schedule as we had before. It took a bit of negotiation, but we got it. And we're paid up for a year, so we have the schedule till December 2023. Okay.
Harvey, you paid on your credit card to lock in the year.
Yeah.
At some point, we should start recollecting membership fees, right? Because you don't want to be out of pocket.
Yeah, we'll all do that perhaps in February. I think we'll do that.
We'll start in February. Usually how it'll go is, we'll start it up in February and just say, anybody here, needs to renew their membership, when most people will, right? Because it's been a while, right?
Yeah.
And then what we'll do is we'll just click the membership for it, and then come March, if they show up again, then the membership goes from March to March, right? So that way there's no, February being sort of like, so you don't have to, so it gets prorated. That's what I'm trying to say. Because in the past we used to do it where it was like we'd prorate the membership. So if you showed up in September, you'd have to pay from September to December, but it's such a pain in the butt, and then there's a lot of math involved that I suck at math. So
Actually, I always
How
make
much-
September
so
to September.
yeah, September to September is a good one,
And
right?
what was the new rate been decided, guys, for the year?
It's $50. No, I'm just kidding. It's, not, it's like I think we said it was still like $25 or something like that, wasn't it? Harv?
30 for 2.
30 for the 2 clubs, yeah, because you got the AMPS membership and the IPMS membership, or if you just wanted the IPMS membership, I think the AMPS membership gets you like obviously AMPS stuff, right? Like you can
It gets you an
participate.
extension or something like that. And
Yeah.
I think you're right. It's 25 for one, but then you might as well join the other for $5.
$5 more.
Yeah.
It's like Pizza Hut and their pizzas.
We haven't changed, man. We haven't changed that membership in a long time, right? Long time.
And that's a good thing, right? I mean, especially considering we had to look for a new place, and then also considering the fact that we had to negotiate in terms of like how much it was going to be, etc., and that type of thing. So good stuff though.
Well,
Sorry, Nick, you had your hand up.
No, it's okay. I don't want to intrude in your business, but I am curious how many members there are in IPMS Toronto.
That's a good question. That's a good question. I have to go back and look. I've got the membership list, and it's a big Excel spreadsheet. There's a significant amount of people. I would say not huge, but enough. I don't know.
Wasn't
We've
there
had meetings.
91 at one point?
Yeah, we've had meetings where we've had like 50 people in the room.
Yeah,
right?
that's about average. That's about average. I think the record breaker was when we had that Japanese veteran, right, from the heavy cruiser come in and talk. I remember a head manager, that was a while ago. That was 110. Wow.
Yeah. And then we've had like, for example, when we had the memorial for Derek Pennington.
Yeah,
right?
that
had a lot of people there too, right?
Yeah,
so
that was around up there too.
Yeah.
Generally, the average is about 40 or 50, Nick.
Yeah, depending.
Okay, and you just said something that made my heart sink. I was not aware that he had passed away. Can you tell me when that happened?
Oh, geez, it was before the pandemic, so it was. I think it was early 2019 or late 2018.
Just after Christmas.
Yeah.
2018.
Yeah.
2018, Bill?
I think it was around Christmas of 2018.
Yeah.
So.
We had his widow come on, say a few words, and we had a service, like a little service for us at the club.
So Harvey, I thought he passed away in 2019, late 2019, like October.
It was 2019. I just went back and checked. I did a post on the website in January of 2020. So yeah, it was right before the pandemic, basically.
But November he passed away.
He was a giant of vacuum form kits, eh? Wow.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I first stepped into Derek in, my God, 77 when I was a teenager. When I met Derek.
He was there forever.
He was. He certainly was.
And his enthusiasm was a real inspiration to us.
Yeah.
So we have to remember him.
Yep.
And he's the one that drew my attention to the oft forgotten Malaysian campaign.
Yes.
He would wax eloquent about that.
He would, yes.
Was he in the RAF in Malaysia in the 60s?
Yeah, I believe so. 50s.
Yeah.
Was it? He was. I remember him showing pictures. He was like a bomb armaments ground crew or something.
Yeah.
A fitter. He was a fitter. Yeah, as they called him, I think. But
yeah, he was also in the London Blitz as a kid.
Kevin, you had your hand up.
Yeah, sorry, slightly different topic. Membership for remote users?
Oh, I don't think we're doing that, are we?
We're doing that. No.
We're going to keep the things the way they are now.
Yeah, free.
Okay. I'm just assuming you have to pay for Zoom.
Yeah, we do, but
right. It's for the modeling community, right?
Yeah.
So
okay,
it's not a lot of money. Right?
The advantage of joining is you get discounts to local clubs, blah blah blah. Like this, if we do a T-shirt or something, there might be a discount on. But for Zoom, yeah, unless you guys on the steering committee agreed, like, why bother charging for? I think we're okay.
Unless somebody wants to pay so that they get the discounts in the stores.
There's an idea. Yeah. Now I live down by I'm West Mississauga, Southwest Mississauga, so a little bit of a trek at rush hour.
Yeah, but if you're on the weekend in, Kevin, like Wheels and Wings is a discount, right? So.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I've never been to Wheels and Wings.
Oh my.
What?
Yeah, you're missing out.
Well, I go to Panther, Carefree, and the one in Dundas Hobby.
Oh,
Dundas Hobby's good.
Yeah,
And Panther. Panther is another good one.
Panther's good. We're well served.
I was going to just say that. Yeah. Chris, sorry, Chris, you had your hand up too.
I got a question. I came back at the tail end of Harvey saying that we're going to start in-person meetings. What's the location going to be? Is it the same place at the Loblaws? Or?
Fairview Mall. I'll write up an email and we'll catch it out. But it's the one that. Well, no, it's not in the mall. It's outside the mall, just like across the parking lot. But it's at Fairview Mall, Toronto Public Library. I forget the address, but we'll put it at 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. Great room, by the way. It's really fabulous. But we got, oh, by the way, like it's a minor thing. We got it for nonprofit status. I had to write a letter to say that we're nonprofit. And given that I work for the city, I knew what to say in it too, so that we're which is true, we're multi-ethnic, right? We are.
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of like well, not to insult anybody here. Well, we're kind of almost like seniors, and some of us aren't. So that word seniors, that's the Toronto Public. Seniors and multi-ethnic bingo, we're in, right? So
just don't show up with your cane.
Guys, and do the limp. But the only thing is we have to set up and take down, but that was no different than Loblaws. It's a bigger room. It's a very nice room.
Brian, why don't you tell us what we're looking at here?
Nothing much to look at, really.
That's nice.
You're too humble.
Yeah, I guess. It's just the Bandai Y-Wing, and I scratch built a platform for it.
Just.
Nice.
Damn.
Really nice. That's the giant version of what I have. Yeah, that's good.
What kit? What is that? Bandai or what is that?
It's the Bandai 72 scale kit. And then I scratch built the platform and the I made some little droids, maintenance droids out of Hasegawa USAF ground crew vehicle things. So
Are the fronts of the engine, is that scratch build or is that kit components?
Fronts of the engine are actually kit components. You can do it that way. Yeah, it's a really nice kit.
That's beautiful.
Glenn, I just picked up that kit. If you want me to bring it in tomorrow, I'll bring it to show you.
Yes, please. Yes, thank you.
That's very great. Great, very, very great.
It's awesome. What did you build the platform out of? Is it just sheet styrene?
Pink foam core. I cut that out, and then I tried to figure out, okay, what am I going to do with it? And I'll put, some kind of plastic on the top of it, so it's like an airfield. But then the sides, should I do dirt? Should I do concrete? What should I do? Oh, I'll stick some greeblies on it. And so I did a bunch of that, and step by step, I made it float with with some cork on the bottom. And I noticed, one of the greeblies is a door. So it's a ship now. It's a maintenance ship, and it has a little hatch on the top there, so you can go on the side of the door and go into the hatch on the top, and it's that kind of thing. So it has a whole story and everything now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Derek. Are we at the end of the saga here, I guess, huh?
Oh, that's cool.
I finished the project. It was an Airspeed Ambassador vac form kit by Historic Classic, if I remember correctly. So finally I'm done and I'm moving on to my next project. So the two pictures on top are pictures of the real thing. And the picture at the bottom is my model, which is as close as possible.
Wow.
You'll see on the real thing, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but there's a recessed light which shines back onto the propellers and leading edges of the wings so the pilot can see if there is icing on the wings. So I didn't put that on because half the pictures I looked at did not have that recessed light, so I forgot about it. So the airplane is painted white on top, gray underneath, black in front. All the black is paint. The red is decals, and the Danair London is individual letters placed like soldiers on a parade, almost a platoon full of soldiers. So each is in the place relative to each other in a straight line.
Wow.
And the windows where I had to make them elliptical, as you can see in the real airplane on the top left, convert them from a circle to an ellipse, and that was an adventure in itself. And let's go on.
But I'll bet you that's the only game in town. Like you'll never see another one. I haven't.
I never will.
Nah, you never will.
If you want 144 scale, it's also in VAC form. So top is the real thing, and the bottom is my model. Some distortion in the photographs so that the fins look different, but they're pretty much to scale. I can guarantee that. Again, the white top, red decals everywhere. They're 3 thickness of decals when you see the red, because I had to put white as a base because the red did not have very good density. So there's 3 layers of decal on the engine nacelle and on the fuselage side. So I won't tell you how many bits and pieces of decal there are actually on the airplane. If you ask, I will tell you. Otherwise, I will not. Is there another picture?
Yes, I got the last one that you sent as well. Here,
okay.
There you go.
And this again is a comparison of the real thing with my model on the bottom. So finished, done and dusted, put on the shelf or on the display, and I've had a lazy hiatus. And now I'm on to my next model, which will be a 32 scale kit, 80% polystyrene plastic as prescribed, 10% resin conversion part, 1% vacuform canopy, and dare I say it, 9% 3D printed part. Oh my God. Call out security. Alarm. Send them out. No 3D printed parts are legitimate. Anyway, that's my plan.
Are these numbers by volume or are they by?
Oh no, Jonathan.
Pretty much by volume.
Derek, I love you. You're a shit bugger, but I love you, man.
So is this one 1/72nd?
That's a 72nd scale model, yeah.
Wow.
What year did they see service, Derek?
About 1950 to 1952. They were Winston Churchill's favorite airplane, but they immediately got replaced by the Vickers Viscount, and then they went to the jet age. So these didn't last long.
Oh, very nice.
Did they ever see military service or just civilian?
I think a few were sold to distant air forces as carriers, but not more than 2 or 3. And the engine in this, incidentally, is the same engine in the Hawker Tempest. It was a Bristol Centaurus. So that was the last and the best of Bristol's piston engines that were in this thing.
That's beautiful.
Brilliant model.
Very nice. Unique. Very unique. Yeah.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing the journey with us, Derek. It's been fun seeing it kind of every month, making it a little bit further.
Well, thankfully, the journey is over.
All right, Glenn, you sent us some photos this time, as well as a link to your other work. So let's do both at once here. We'll start with the photos.
Okay. For our club contest in February, it's a theme contest of anything out of your comfort zone. It was to commemorate the passing of Dr. John Clearwater, who passed away last year. And John was famous for doing anything and everything, even if he had never done it before. So we wanted to challenge people. I struggled to find something that I don't really build a lot of, and I settled on a Gundam, well, a Gundam-ish kit. And this is a giant scale Evangelion. It's based on a series of movies and a television show. It's very good.
Yep.
And this thing stands about 19 inches tall. So why is it so unique? Well, I cut out the parts, I trimmed them, I put them together, I moved on. For me, that is way out of my comfort zone.
But you didn't do a lamp with the leg.
This is true, but it's, well, give it time. So this, at that point, it's about a day and a half worth of building. I have the finished thing before me, and it is done. There's a gantry platform that I'm going to be building for it next. But all in all, I spent maybe 3 days on this thing.
Wow.
So it's Meng's kind of answer to Bandai kits, where everything is pre-colored. You just snip it off, press fit together. It's a marvel of engineering. Everything is articulated. There's internal structures for joints and whatever. So yeah, move on to the next picture. So at this point, it's about 2 days in, and that's how large it is. So everything moves. After that, the next picture I think was with his arms. Nope, not quite the arms.
Not yet.
Nope. And there is some basic lighting inside to light up the eyes, and there's a central core that pulsates red. So anybody who wants to watch a pretty good anime style series, I can highly recommend this.
Cool.
How did you get the light to pulsate?
It came with the kit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was quite surprised. The lights are just stay on solid. But this thing, I flipped it on, thought nothing of it, and then I tried it again. So I couldn't control my enthusiasm. This is like straight out of the movie. And was there another one after that?
There's a couple here, yeah. Is that? And then you sent the finished.
Yes, that is actually sitting to my immediate right. There's like 9 sets of hands that are used for different poses. It comes with different weaponry. It has several poses that are recommended in the booklet. So they give you hands to go with all of those.
Very good.
Wow. And the gantry platform is probably going to take maybe a day.
What does that cost, a kit like that?
I would rather not say.
Okay.
Is it over $100?
Yep. Quite so, yes.
Wow. Probably close to 12 too.
Yeah. I really, it was a Christmas present to myself. I really don't want to say how much it costs. It was ridiculous.
All right, fair enough. Then your other longer term project as well here, Glenn. I think you were. We'll scroll right down to the bottom.
Let's go right down to the bottom. Yes.
Figures.
The last time we were here, the chopper. Get to the chopper. It is done. The chopper is done. Nice. So next, I was moving on to the figure, which is the seated pilot figure, which I was going to have sitting on the landing pad. Is composed of several different figures that I managed to cobble together, and a lot of surgery, a lot of cosmetic surgery. So now I'm at the point where he is finished. He's painted all except for his head. So I finally got the head from Alpine, and I had a first attempt of painting it, and it looked like Tammy Faye doing a revival. So I stripped off the paint. And I'm not going to touch this until I have a chance to sit with some figure modeler friends, because I just don't trust my skills at this point, and I would really prefer not to, botch it up again.
Well, I'm following you on Facebook, Glenn, but what are you using so far? Tamiya paints?
No. For the body, I was using RC colors, Tamiya lacquers, RC real color lacquers. For the face, I had primed it with various shades of blue, just to get some zenithal shading and whatever. So right now, he has a blue face, very nicely shaded and everything. After that, I'm planning to use AK 3rd generation acrylic brush painting by hand. It's brand new to me, and I don't know what I'm doing, so I want to sit with people who do.
Just a quick note, they sell a great retarder, so that slows the drying paint, so you can do a better way of painting figures with the retarder. Slower drying, so you can mix it easier.
Yeah,
Oh, is it called retarder?
Yeah,
I've got a little turtle on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go pick some up. Thank you. That'll really help.
I can say that word here because I've added the ER. The other word is, well, you know what I mean. Just saying.
I'm used to painting with oils. This painting with acrylics,
it's different.
Wow, there is no room for error. Everything happens so fast.
Yeah, it's quick.
Are you using a wet palette with the acrylics?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Have a thing like a jar of water right beside you where you're painting, so you can just dip her in there right away.
Yep, got a large thing of water. I got a large thing of alcohol just to clean the brushes, and I keep them on opposite sides so I don't get them mixed up.
Yeah. But you'll find the retarder does help because it slows the acrylic paint drying, right? So it gives you more room, right? That's what it's for.
Is it brand specific, or can it be
No,
used?
well, I would stick with Gen 3. I mean, I none of the other guys know. If you're going to be mixing with other, like to me, it makes retarder, but I'd stick with their brand.
Yeah, yeah. I've not tried painting a figure with these paints, but for brush painting anything, AK 3rd Gen is my favorite go-to acrylic paint now. It's fantastic paint.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, it's very popular for that. And if you want, sitting with somebody is excellent. If you are, bored at night and want to watch YouTube, look for miniature painters, just guys who are doing like Warhammer, that kind of stuff. There is a guy called Miniac, if I can remember correctly. He has a lot of really good tutorials from basic to very advanced techniques. And also, just once you hit him, you'll hit a whole bunch of other guys who do similar stuff, and you can get some pretty good ideas from those guys.
Yeah, there was one that I found online. It was called The Last Cavalry, and he was doing a 1/16 scale Alpine head, the same series that I was using for mine. And I stop framed and marked down all the paints that he uses and rushed out to my hobby store and got all those same paints. But he goes through it fairly well, step by step. So I'm going to try to follow him. And if that doesn't work for me, then, well, we'll see what happens. It might be another scrubbing session in the store.
Glenn, one thing I've done in the past is I've used the acrylics for the undercoat, the skin color on the face, and then used oils on top of that, because this is going to be challenging because that 1/16 it's a large space, and acrylics, even with retarder, they just don't blend the same way. They just simply will not. Like, you can wet blend them, but to do that, you have to be good at it. Like, you have to know what you're doing. And the first few times is not an easy thing to blend them. They become blotchy. Even with retarder, it just, it slows down the drying, but it doesn't have the same sort of, pasty feel of oil. So it doesn't blend as well. So, I mean, one thing you could do is try it. And, if you got to fail, you fail and try it again. Or, like I said, you use the undercoat with a regular skin color with an acrylic, and then you go on top of that, you start putting your shading with some oils.
Yeah, that's actually I've done that in the past with the 35th scale figures.
Yeah,
I'm very comfortable using oils.
Yeah,
but I want to give this a try.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, Maurizio is correct. The larger the figure, I kind of would switch to oils too, right?
Yeah.
The gradation between colors is much more easier to blend.
Definitely. You with acrylics, you just can't. If it's a small face, you can kind of hide it, but when it's large, you're going to see it.
Yeah.
But anyways, it'll be interesting to see what you find out and teach the rest of it.
There might be a lot of Photoshop involved.
Glenn, with your skills, you'll be doing a seminar here like in next month.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think so, Jim.
He'll be schooling us soon. Okay, thank you, Glenn. Lorenzo, you sent a couple pictures in if you're still on here somewhere.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Where is Lorenzo? You're on mute, buddy.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, yeah, that's my monogram 48 scale B25 Mitchell. And what I'm doing here is the hairspray technique. So I did the natural metal finish, and then I sprayed the zinc chromate on top, and then just started chipping away. And next is just to put the blend coat on, the olive drab. No, and then after the zinc chromate, I put a layer of acrylic to protect it. Another coat of hairspray, and then I do the blend coat, and then start chipping away, and getting some some weathering going on that. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's what I got.
That's pretty cool when it's finished. Holy smokes!
Yeah. So, what unit, Lorenzo?
That is going to be the name of the airplane is Ave Maria, and it's I'm not sure what unit it is. I think it flew in the Mediterranean theater, so it was probably bombing places in Italy and places like that.
Oh, great!
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully, I'd like to get that ready for for the shows this year. That and a few other things. So we'll see how it goes.
Looking good.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lorenzo. Next up, Maurizio.
Well, tonight is going to be a lot more conventional than some of my usual builds. So this one here, I can't get much more conventional than that, but that's the Tamiya Easy 8, which is, a 2015 kit. So it was a good kit. It was an easy kit. I did it while I was waiting for the one that you're going to see next, which was kind of Santa was bringing that one, so I had to wait. And so this was, it's fun kit. The Tamiyas are fun. I mean, you sacrifice some detail. So even though, for instance, this one, they've done a better job than their earlier kits on the Sherman for handles and things like that, you still get sort of the little molded tiny handle out of plastic, like one piece that you got to, if you want to do a decent job, you got to cut it off and put a proper wire handle, if you will. So you still get a little bit of that, but it's a fun kit. On this one, I kind of played around with a couple of things. One is I'd seen a picture that I wanted to reproduce, and in the end, I didn't spend all the time that to make it into a larger diorama with figures and all that. So, but the kit, the image was this Easy 8 coming out of the water from a river crossing. So, it gave me an opportunity to play with water. So I used, 2-part resin, and then on top of that, I used some AK clear water effects and also some AK foam effects, which I think came out really well. They hardened all well, and very, very good products, very easy to use. And then the other thing I played with a little bit was the suspension, because I wanted it to. I find that tanks, tanks and vignettes and dioramas tend to be nicer when you have some elevation and some movement in the suspension and the mechanism. And so this one here, I wanted to adhere to the terrain, so I had to cut off, because this was not movable. So I cut it off and reposition it, which is fairly straightforward, no big deal. And then I just had some fun with creating a bit of a distressed olive drab kind of finish on this thing, which in the end, it's actually fairly simple. You just spend a little bit of time doing some, highlights and some shadowing, and then you just basically splatter the thing with, a little bit of various paints, oil paints diluted. And in the end, you get a very model kind of realistic sort of surface. So it was fun, but this is one of the ones that towards the end, I sort of said, I want it done. And so, wanted to get it off my, bench. So that was that.
The lighting of the photo is awesome.
Yeah. Just a quick question on the suspension. You had to cut it, but
Yeah.
what do you use for the? Is it foam base? Then you just then position the wheels to match the angle of the base, obviously, right?
Yeah, that's right. So that's what I did. So I basically, what did I do? Actually, you know what? At first I cut it and then I was going to glue it, which meant, which meant having to make sure that it was properly positioned and all that, so the glue would set. That didn't really work. I didn't have the patience to work it all out and everything. So I ended up putting some pins, and that meant that, until you go and actually put the tank on the base, it will move to conform. You don't have to be that careful, right?
I see that. Well, that's what I was getting at. How do you get the thing to sit to the terrain? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then what I did is I also put a screw under. I put a hole in the back and the bottom of the tank, put a screw in, and that kind of holds it in place and makes sure that there is enough weight and pressure that the suspension adheres and conforms.
It adds a nice interest to a vehicle when the suspension
really does, and that and dioramas, if you put some elevation or some in gradation on the terrain, that definitely makes a big difference in terms of the visual interest of composition.
Very nice.
And the next one was, so this one is the one that I was waiting for, and I'm really excited. So this is a board, and it's still kind of pre-weathering, but it is the border model 135th of the 88, which just came out. It's a 2022 kit, and it's beautiful. Like, the box is metal. It's what they call a special edition thing. It's a metal box. It's a big box compared to the actual size of the kit, because this has got a lot of parts. So there's a bit of work to put it together. The fit is fantastic. The detail on the moldings is superb. I mean, I often don't enjoy the build as much as the painting side of things and the weathering. The build is a means to an end. But in this case, even though this was a fairly elaborate build, I really, really enjoyed it, because the parts are so well detailed, and there is so much to look at that you really want to know more about, what does this do, and what does that, wheel do, and so on and so forth. And because it was so well done, the kit really sort of immerses you into the machine. So I really, really enjoyed the build. It was relatively straightforward. Like, once you do the cleanup, fit and everything else is good. The only downside of the kit, and this I'm finding in a number of other manufacturers here and there, unlike Tamiya's instructions are superb, because they always show you the placement. It's very clear where you're putting things. They always show you the painting on individual parts throughout the instruction set. In this one here, that's not the case. So for instance, you get a lot of situations where they have a very vague arrow, but you don't really know where that part is supposed to attach. So you have to pay a lot of attention, do a lot of dry fitting to make sure you're not going to end up gluing in the wrong spot. So that's one downside of the instruction. And the other one, they give you no detail painting. So, there's a whole bunch of little detail stuff here that you're not really sure, because all you get is a color plate at the end with the overall camo scheme. So now what I'm going to do with this, and the reason why I'm putting this together, is because I'll pick it up here, but I got inspired to recreate a very famous diorama from Shep Bain from the 70s. And this was something he did with the Tamiya kit. And I'll hold it up because it's not a photo. I'm not sure how well that's coming through, but that's his dio of this Flak 88 shooting out of a destroyed church. Do you see it? There's probably a lot of reflection on it.
Yep.
That may be a better picture. And so I just love, and as I'm sort of starting to get through the build and now thinking about the figures, the one thing that I can tell, this is the reason why Shep was such a master, is how dynamic the image, the diorama really is. Because a lot of times, you do dioramas, the figures are kind of static and they're not doing much. But in this case, the real challenge for me will be to actually show the dynamic movement and the action that's taking place on the ground, which he did so well. And I'm not sure how he did it. I'm not sure if he took standard figures or he took a whole bunch of Tamiya they looked like Tamiya figures, but he might have actually done some changes and repositioning and so on and so forth. So that's going to be the challenge about this diorama. And of course, you know, I'm going to scratch build the church walls. I've got all the materials already ordered for the various, you know, the windows, and so that's going to be fun. I mean, I love all that stuff, you know, building buildings from scratch. I love that. But the dynamic sense will be what's gonna be. And I've been looking for a lot of figures. There's not a lot of flat crews that you can get, like even resin. There's not a ton. You know, there's a few, but a lot of winter. I was trying not to do winter, but I think I'm gonna be stuck with that because most of them are winter. And I don't want to do winter dresses, so now I got to figure out what is the color of those uniforms that I can use. And you know, there's a lot of headaches sometimes trying to research stuff because there is so much material to cover, and it's not easy to find really comprehensive books, you know, that don't cost a fortune to figure all this out. But anyways, why am I saying all this? I love building this kit. It was fantastic.
Have you built the Dragon 8.8?
I have not, and I had somebody comment that the Dragon is even better than the Skit, so it's possible. I mean, I know that they're very elaborate. Dragon kits tend to be very, very elaborate with lots of parts, but I got to say that you'd be hard pressed to make a better kit than this one. I mean, this is really superb.
Hey, Maurizio. I was just curious because I haven't built the Dragon kit, and I heard it's really detailed, but it can be frustrating to build. So.
Right. I mean, that's the reason why I kind of I've been staying away from Dragon because from what I understand, it's hit and miss. Some kits are really superb and they're well fitting, and some kits are disasters. And
I'll talk about vague instructions. Geez.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that. You know, like I don't care if I'm going to get absolutely every screw in place if the thing. You can't tell where it's supposed to go. I mean, even this in some cases was quite frustrating. I mean, you feel like you want to write them and say, guys, you know, like, why can't you have the arrow actually?
Good luck.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. And there were a bunch of, you know, there's a few mistakes here and there. And but the most frustrating is also the fact that they don't give you any detailed painting guides throughout the build, because, you know, a lot of times, you know, once it's fully built, it's hard to get there and you may not be able to reach certain areas, etc. So it'd be nice if they told you. And the other thing as well is a lot of Tamiya kits will actually tell you what that something used to do. Like, for instance, I found out by reading the instructions on scale mates of the Tamiya kit, there's a particular piece is where they actually use the fuse arming. Because what you could do is the ammunition could be armed for the fuse to go off at a certain time after it leaves the barrel. And so they would have a spot on the other side of the cannon where you put essentially the shell, so that the ammo would go upside down into this kind of like thing, and you could arm it and arm the fuse to go off at a certain time. So, you know, it'd be nice if they gave you those details, because when you're building it, that's part of the fun, is to understand how the real thing actually operated. And you're going to go to the next one, Eric, as well.
Yeah.
So that one there those are the bogies. And I'll have them, you know, I'll have them detached, so the gun will be in full operating stance. So the bogies will be detached, but even the bogies were fantastic to put together. I mean, just so much detail crammed in there. It was really a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this.
Does it come with an ammo carrier as well?
It comes with no, it comes with 6 figures, and it comes with some ammo boxes and some shells, but nothing else. And
Still awesome.
It's got a metal barrel. It's got a few photo etch, just enough not to be a pain. But you don't really need them, because a lot of even the plastic is beautifully molded and very fine. I totally love this.
Can I ask you how much it cost?
Yeah, I looked it up because it was a gift, but it's about, I got it from Sprue Brothers in the States, and it's about 105 Canadian. So it's not a cheap kit.
Maurizio, there FYI, there is a real Flak 88 that is being restored at the Oshawa Tank Museum. Wow. It's not in the display area, it's in their workshop. But if you go there and you just ask nicely, you can go in the room and look at it. And it's in its original colors. So
Really?
Interesting.
it's in the workshop. So
We
not
should
many
do
people.
a field trip in the spring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the other thing too is, that's, I should do that, but now it's kind of done. But the other thing too, I found that there are so many different variants, and even the same, like this is a Flak 36, which was kind of an earlier version. Even this version could have different configurations in terms of the telemetry and the aiming mechanisms, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's not like you go and see the real thing and you get what the model ought to be, because it could be one of several variants. I mean, of course, it would be fun to look at it, but and that too, even another problem with the instructions is you do have some of those options, but they're not well documented. Like they will, you have 3 different shields you can put on, and unless you go to references, you wouldn't know why you would use one versus the other, because one of them was earlier and the other one was later, and so
Right.
so it's too bad, because if they did have proper instructions with good history and a good profile and all that, then a lot of those problems would go away and it'd be even more enjoyable. I don't know why, because the detail is all there. It's a beautiful kit.
All right. Thank you very much, Maurizio. We're going to hit the next one. Paul, you sent in a few pictures. You've been working, you've been busy.
This is I'm still doing repops of Aurora toys. This is the Monster Scenes Dr. Deadly 1/13 scale. Kind of reminds me of Dave Bailey for some reason. I don't know. Straightforward. Yeah, 1/13 scale styrene. Nothing fancy. Found some glitches in the photo. These photos were taken earlier today. And you see problems that you just don't see with the naked eye, but I kind of fixed them up before the show. You want to go to the next one?
Yeah, let's see. Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is the same scale, Dracula. Fixed a couple of glitches since this was released only in Canada originally in 71 or whatever, and the originals go for thousands now. And the next is the most toy-like thing Aurora ever did, the giant insect. Now with even the people at Aurora thought this was a silly kit. Now with the camera, those yellow patches are actually gold. The blue of the body was a mixture of chrome silver and clear blue, but you really can't tell from that. And the legs were metallic brown. Silly kit. And
that from a movie?
I had fun. And isn't that what it's all about?
Absolutely.
But what I'm hoping to do for Heritage Con is have a collection of the giant insect and all 6 Monster Scenes figures. So I've got about like 3 to do in the next month.
So, Paul,
yeah,
you say these are repops. Do you mean they're
like
Atlantis?
reissues from the giant insect and Dr. Deadly are from Mobius, and Dracula's from Monarch Models.
Okay.
It's in Canada.
So is that insect from a movie?
No, it was just inspired by various it's an amalgam of like a dragonfly, scorpion, whatever. But it wasn't actually featured in the movie. It was just just something they thought up, and they thought it was inspired by too many elements. The project manager was not happy with it, I don't think.
I mean, the eyes on the insect look pretty good. How do you get?
What I did with that, like what it is they're compound eyes, so there's bubbles inside. And what I did was I put red paint inside the eye, wiped it out, wiped off the excess red, and put in copper or gold or something.
Right. Very cool.
Thank you. So yeah, I want to, I've got the Victim done, which is all Aurora parts. Then I'll do Frankenstein, Vampirella, and Mr. Hyde, and then I can enter in a collection, can't I? I'll get laughed off the table, but
It would
All
be.
right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you then, everybody who sent stuff in. Nathan, I know you want to show a few things, so I'm going to stop sharing now, and you can take a go at it. I'm not sure if David has enabled screen share. Oh, yeah, there he is. There we go.
Okay.
Ah, beautiful.
That's just the Tamiya 38T. I just did the typical Panzer gray and then a whitewash and then the hairspray chipping method. There's a Japanese modeler I follow on YouTube, and he suggested using like an IGN gray instead of a white for the whitewash, and I think it does look better because it looks kind of dirty rather than like a stark white.
Nathan, what did you say the scale was?
1/35 scale.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
It looks like 1/16. Very
Yeah,
nice.
beautiful weather.
So
Yeah,
that's
great
the
weather.
Hetzer chassis converted by the Germans.
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah, it
Sorry about
began
that?
as a Hetzer by the
No, well,
Czechoslovakians.
You're right. The Hetzer was based on the 38T. So the 38T was when the Germans took over Czechoslovakia, the Skoda had been building these tanks, and so they thought, oh, these are okay, so we'll just use them. And so they had a 3.37 millimeter gun, and they were light tank used until after Barbarossa. But it's a Tamiya kit, so it goes together really well. It was kind of one of my first attempts at figures. So this is just the Tacom Stug 3, and I just tried to do some experimenting with some kind of like mud wet effects. I had some issues just with I don't know if I have another picture of that one, but I had some issues with the gloss and I'm having trouble finding like a good matte clear coat. But this is a Sherman Firefly. This is the Asuka models Sherman Firefly. So this is one from around D-Day.
Hey, Nathan.
Yeah.
I use this AK Ultra Matte Varnish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Good stuff.
This is excellent. I mean,
Yep.
it's flat. Dead flat.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay, good.
And you don't have to put a lot of it. Like I really like a light mist, it may dry and it'll be a beautiful dead flat in no time.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
second that.
So if you're wondering what those weird brackets are at the front of that, those are this is from a British unit, and they had this code name, this idea they codenamed houseboat, which is when they would put these like big tarps over the tanks when they were sitting in depot to make them look like trucks. So that's what those are, just in case you were wondering.
Oh, interesting.
That looks great.
That looks great.
Thank you.
Nice weathering.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
Very
Thanks.
nice.
Yeah, so this is a really nice kit. If anybody hasn't tried an Atsuka model, they mostly seem to put out Shermans of basically every variant. And I'm not a Sherman expert, but I do like the Firefly. So
yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Atsuka models.
Yeah, it was good. They're detailed, but it's not overly complicated to build. So thanks for letting me share those.
Nice stuff.
Question?
Not at all. That's what we're about.